Hi everyone, good day YouTube. This is another beautiful video, another beautiful tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be talking about osTicket installation and the list of prerequisites required for the installation. Before we get into the video, let's look at some environments and technologies that will be needed in order to perform this installation. So first of all, we'll be doing this on the Microsoft Azure environment, where we're basically going to be creating our virtual machine, and then we'll be needing a remote desktop protocol to get into our virtual machine, and then we will also be doing the installation of internet information services, so where we're basically going to be doing the rest of the installation. So let's get inside the video. So the next thing to do is to create our virtual machine. During this time, we also have to ensure that all our resources are kept in one group for it to function properly and for easy accessibility. So without further ado, let's give a name to our resource group. A resource group will ensure that all resources required for the installations are kept in one group. So great, we're going to name it osTicket Lab 1, and then we say OK. Then after that, we give a name to our virtual machine, and then we're going to select the location, the deployment location that we wanted. And then after that, we also going to select the operating system that we're creating. In this case, I'm going to use a Windows 10 operating system. So I'm going to select it immediately and then move down to creating the username and password, which is critical to log into our system. And for the username, I'm going to be calling it Lab User 7, and then select a password of your choice. Or maybe I'll be renaming it to Jerry Lab User 7. Pretty much whatever you like, anything you choose, just do it in a password of your choice as well. As you can see, the green check shows that everything is good to go. So let's move to the next page. So here we are in the other page, and pretty much nothing to do here. Just leave everything at default and move to the networking page. So in the networking page, this is where we ensure that all our VNets are properly set. And after that, click on Review plus Create. Then you need to review that all these are all you selected. I mean, that they're good to go. This is what you wanted. Then after reviewing it, just click on Create. At this point, it will start deploying your virtual machine, and this takes some time, so you have to exercise some patience. As soon as the deployment is done, the next thing to do is to log into your virtual machine in order to begin the installation of osTicket. So, to log into our machine, we will be needing some information like the IP address of our virtual machine. And also, we will also be needing the remote desktop protocol, which actually allows you to log into a remote desktop. In this case, our VM, we're going to be using the remote desktop protocol to log into our virtual machine in order to start the installation of osTicket ticketing system. So here we go. First of all, we input our IP address into the remote desktop protocol. And then it's going to request for the username and password that we created when we are setting up the VM. And so we can to input the username. Mine was Jerry Lab User 7. And then also my password was something like password 777 or something. Then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to click OK. And see if we can get in, or see if we can log into our virtual machine. Yep, as you can see, we have successfully signed into our machine, and you can see the username we created, Jerry Lab User 7. For the sake of this video, we're going to be turning off all this check. We're going to be turning them off because this video is just for demonstration purpose. And once we click accept, we're getting into our desktop. As you can see, here's our desktop. So the next thing to do right now is to locate Internet Information Services, which we're going to find in a control panel. So let's go ahead and search for the control panel. Here you are, our control panel opens. Inside the control panel, go ahead and click on Program. And then turn window features on or off. And inside that, you should be looking for Internet Information Services. So once you have seen the Internet Information Services, check on it and expand it. And then go to World Wide Web Services, check on it and expand it as well. And then you should be looking for Application Development Features and check on it and expand it. Then look for CGI. And that's it, check on it. And then say OK. Once you say OK, the installation will begin. Wait for it to finish. It takes a lot of time. And so it's getting to the end. Here's it. It is finished. So you're going to click on Close. And that's it. So the next thing to do is to install PHP Manager for IIS, the Internet Information Services, and as well the rewrite module. Great. Here, as you can see, we have a bunch of applications required for this installation. So to move on to our installation, from the list, I'm going to be installing, downloading and installing the PHP Manager for IIS and as well the rewrite module. Let's do it. So the first on the list to install is the PHP Manager. As you can see, it's just a normal installation. You agree, and we click on Next, and the installation begins right away. And let's just wait for it to finish. And once finished, we're going to click on Close and immediately begin installation of the rewrite module. So let's go to the rewrite module. As you can see, I've downloaded all these applications and just waiting for installation. So let's go to the rewrite module. As you can see, this is the rewrite module, and install right away and wait for it to finish. Once it's finished, we click on Finish. And that's it for the first two installation. And then the last thing we have to do is to create a directory for PHP on the C drive. So here we are, the C drive. We just have to create like new folder, and then we're going to name it PHP. And that's it. So as soon as this is done, we have to go back to our simple list to download and install PHP. So in this case, our PHP file is already downloaded. All we need to do is just unzip the files into the newly created PHP folder on the C drive. Yeah, so as you can see, the files are unzipped into the PHP folder on the C drive. Done. So as soon as this is done, the next thing we're going to do is to download and install VC Redist, and as well download and install MySQL. Let's go. So we're here on our simple list where we have all our programs downloaded and waiting. We're going to be looking for VC Redist and as well MySQL. So what we do is just install them because we already have them downloaded. Let's go. So done. The next thing is MySQL. Let's go to MySQL. Done. So as you can see, it is done. The next thing to do is to set up the MySQL security setting. This is basically to create our root password. Our root password is required in order to log into our osTicket database. And osTicket basically we're using a database from MySQL. So let's do it. And attention, you need to pay attention to the password you select because this is actually something that you must remember. Okay, make sure you choose something easier for you to remember, because if you don't remember it, then the whole thing you've done is going to be stupid. Let's move on. Done. So as you can see, we're done with the installation and setting up the MySQL. The next thing we're going to do is to register PHP from within IIS. How to do that is to open IIS as an admin and then register PHP from within IIS. Let's do it. Yeah, so to do the registration, you can see that PHP shows clearly that it's not registered and it tells you register. So all you do is just locate the directory created for PHP open it and look for PHP CGI. Click on it and say OK. Once you've done that, you will see that PHP will be automatically registered. And that's it. So once you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is to go to our simple list and install osTicket. Let's do it. So what we need to do is to extract the osTicket files, and we're going to be copying the upload folder, and we're going to copy it and paste it into the location on the screen. So once you're done with pasting the location or pasting the folder into the location on the screen, the next thing to do is to rename the file or the directory to osTicket. So after that, the next thing you have to do is to restart IIS. And then once you have done that, then go to Sites and go to Defaults and click osTicket. Then go to the right side and click Browse AT. So this is going to open the OS installation on the browser. But as you can see, some of the extensions on the what we are shown on the screen are disabled. And to enable these extensions, we have to go back to IIS and click on PHP Manager, where we're going to be looking for disable or enable extensions, and then look for an extension called PHP IMAP, and look for another extension called PHP INTL.ddl, and also the final extension called PHP OpenCache. Make sure you enable those extensions by toggling the enable button on the right. So once you've done that, go back to the browser where you have the OS installation and reload it. And as you can see, we have just turned on all the extensions except 2 that will not be needed for the installation. So let's begin the installation. So before we begin the actual installation, we have to go back to the osTicket folder and look for a folder called include. So this location, the file location is being showed on the screen. Follow that file location, look for a folder called include. Inside that include, there's the file called ostsampleconfig.php. And what you should do is to rename this file to ostconfig.php. And once you've done that, the next thing you do is to assign permission. Assign this file a permission whereby you have to disable the inheritance, and then give it a read and write permission for everyone. This is to ensure that there will be a smooth installation, because the installation, during the installation, this file will need to be manipulated. So once you give it a read and write permission, it will ensure that everything moves smoothly. So once you're at this stage and you're done with this, the last thing to do is to go back to your installation browser to continue your installation. So click on the continue button, and it will take you to a page where you will fill up the basic setup for osTicket installation. So fill in the details here. First of all, we have ticketing name, and I'm going to set it to Jerry Helpdesk. So as soon as you're done with the helpdesk name, then the next thing is to set up your default email. Your default email is probably your company email. So it's not like a personal login or whatever, it's your company email. So for demonstration purposes, I'll be using any email. And the next thing to do is to fill in the admin user details. So there you can see we have the admin user, the first name, last name, email address, username, and password. And once you're done with filling in all this information, the next thing we're going to do is to set up our database. And remember that we installed MySQL. So we're going to be installing another database client called HeyDSQL. So basically, we'll be connecting our MySQL to it. And remember the password that we've created when we're setting up the MySQL. This is the actual time to use it. So hope you still remember it. So installing the HeyDSQL is pretty much a normal installation. Just agree to the terms and condition and click next till finish. And that's all. And then the next is to set up the HeyDSQL. And this is where we're going to create our actual database name and the root password that we had already created during the MySQL installation. So let's get into HeyDSQL. To do that, the first thing we need to do is to input our root password. And this is the password we created when we are setting up MySQL. So if you remember that, then just input your password. Once you've done that, then click Open. And this will allow you access into an area where you will create your database name. So create a new database and then click OK. You can choose any name for your database. It's all up to you. But once you're done, just say OK. Now head back to your installation browser and complete all the information about your database setup, all the information you've gotten from the Heidi SQL where you created a database just right now, your database name, your host name, username, and password. Ensure that you fill all of them correctly and click on Install Now. So once we click on Install Now, as you can see, the screen has changed and it started installing. And very soon, the installation will be completed. So let's wait for it. Boom, it is completed. So congratulations, you have installed osTicket. And now let's move to the final step. So the next thing we're going to do to complete installation is go to the location on the screen and look for a folder called Setup in the osTicket installation folder. Then delete that folder called Setup. And then go back to the OST configuration file that we changed earlier and give it a read-only permission. So basically remove the read and write permission that we assigned to it previously and change it to read-only. That brings us to the end of today's video. Please subscribe, like, and share.